And we are live. How are you
Hey,
doing today, ma'am?
how are you?
I'm well. I had such a good time recording this episode with you. And I mean, editing it was super easy because I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. But it was just really good. Like, I just like listening back to it. It was just, um, it was just really good um, to just that energy that we have for the episode was just really, really good. And it just like really
Yeah.
translated throughout the episode as I was editing it. So I just was like, man, this is really good. I'm glad we got the chance to re-record. Like, that was really fun for me.
Yes, so am I. It was definitely, I mean, even the interview that we did for my show was just like, wow. Like when I was listening to it again as I edited it and then listening, to the finished posted episode, it was like, wow, that was deep. Yeah.
Did you ever have the conversation with your dad?
I have not.
Oh no.
I
Oh
know.
no.
Well, remember we got hit with all that snow for weeks.
Yeah, true.
Um, and then it's just been one thing after another. So
As life happens.
I know. And
Yeah.
Sundays are really like the only good day, like for him.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm working on it.
You know what? I can't even lie because it does. It's like that sometimes. Sometimes it's like that. But I thought that it was really good to kind of have that conversation. It's been very interesting. And in the conversation since, it's been like really kind of transformational. And so, speaking of dads, hey, mine is here. Hey, Dad.
Hi. Hi,
Welcome.
Dad. How are you?
My sister's here, of course. Hey, KK. I think that it's important, when we reestablish, and if my dad was getting on the live, he'll tell you we've had conversations where it was like a situation of like, hey, I'm an adult now, so let's talk about boundaries a little bit. And sometimes they need reminders, but all in all, like, I think it just I think there's more love there because they get to see you in a different way, in a different light. And even now, the conversations I have with my dad are it's not like tiptoeing around subject. Like, we get to actually talk about stuff and be free and open. And it's like, okay, you may not like how I have to say this, or he may say, listen, you can take it or leave it. It is what it is. This is what I want to say. So, I mean, I appreciate being able to have those kind of conversations with my parents. And it just, on the other side of that is just so much freedom. So it's just, the walk up to the plate is a long one.
Yeah. Then that's where I am. It's like,
oh, it's a long one.
And then to add to it, it's not like I really have to make an effort to do it. Like, yes, logistically. So it's not like, we're just going to run into each other or like we see each other all the time. Mm-hmm. Not that we're like 45 minutes away from each other. So it's not like it, but like I said, just availability, not having anything go, like that part of it makes it easier to say,
listen, because I would honestly, I would have all the excuses in the world. And Dad, if I'm not telling the truth, say it. So, my other sister's here. Hey, really, TT. And then, let's see. Oh, Kayla's here on her other channel. Hey. Before, we have that, because it's always like a weird conversation to have as you become an adult, to reintroduce yourself to your parents. Yeah. And before, it was super easy to be like, I mean, I only talk to you like once a couple months. Like, it's fine. Right. But no lie, since we've had that like reintroduction to have a conversation, I talk to my dad maybe 4 or 5 times a week. Okay. And it's not even like when he calls, like, oh snap, what does he want? It's like, oh, hey, let me tell you what's going on. Like, it's a really good time. And that's why I'm like, there's so much freedom on the other side of that. Cause I'm not like answering the phone, like, what did I do? What do you want? What's going on? Oh, it must be bad. It's more like, oh, snap. Like, what are you getting into? What's going on with you?
And then, of course, this week, I'm like,
hey, Janai.
My sister's getting married next month. So I'm like, I'm going to see him anyway. Like,
don't be those people. Do not be that person. They're just like, you know what? The family's getting together. Might as well add some alcohol to the mix and let's go ahead and just have it out. Like, what? Don't be that person. No, Crystal, we're better than that. We're not going to do that. we're not going to do that. No, but I mean, I would just encourage you, because I would encourage you to have the conversation because there's always going to be a reason why not to. Like, it's like, why not do your business? Well, I mean, I have like 15 other reasons why not to. Then you quit your job and so much business came your way.
I know.
Like, come on. Yeah. I mean, yeah, like, come on. Yeah, see, KK said not at the wedding either. She said, not at the wedding.
I need somebody to be on my side. So, I mean, it's going to be like the day of the wedding, but I figure, like.
Oh, child, Asia's sister's wedding? And she's going to be like, whoa, Crystal, so listen. We haven't had problems up until now, but you want to bring this to the dinner party, like right before? Ma'am. No, ma'am.
So, but no, ideally I would like to do that before then. So I am coming down, like, it's crunch time. Like, I need to just do it.
Yeah, because once you get all that out, it's just, because it's more about what you need to get off of you than what you need to hear,
Right. And I don't think it's going to be, like, I really don't think it's going to be, like, I know it's not going to be this long drawn out thing. Because like I said, he don't have but so many words in him to begin with. And I know that, I'm not looking for this big scene. So I know it's really going to be this, like, hey, this is what it is. It's how I'm feeling. And yeah, so.
These are the new boundaries. We can have a conversation about it. But this is what it is. I'm just informing you of what the new boundaries are.
Basically.
Hey, Rachel. Actually, my dad did respond. He said, I've been here all the time. I just had to wait until you had time to find yourself. And I have learned to listen. Yeah, it was, it's not a situation of him not being there. It's just been, sometimes there was distance, because it's just like, you know how you get stuck in your head? Like, I don't know what they're going to say. I don't know what he's feeling. I don't know what he's thinking. I know where I am, and I may be frustrated, and there be miscommunication. Then there could be misgivings or mistrust. And it's like, okay, let's talk about it. Can we just lay it on the table? Because it's like, I don't want to harbor any ill feelings. So it's just so much better on the other side. The walk up to the plate is hard, but it's so much better on the other side.
Yeah, I'm walking. Walking.
Yes, it's always interesting reinforcing boundaries with elders who have known you forever. It's always an interesting conversation.
But
that's where the reintroduction comes in. It's like, that's where the reintroduction comes in.
Yes.
I'll give you a pep talk before you go. I'll be like, girl, you got this. You got this.
I'm thinking, I might do it Sunday. I think Sunday might be a good time.
Pray about it. Lord, let us be. Just be with us as we move forward.
At this point, like, I just want to do it and get it over with already.
I'm telling you, you get to that point, it's just like, okay, let me just go ahead and get this out. Oh, my aunt's here. Hey, Aunt Solenetta. This is actually my dad's sister. Yeah. So, thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Take a Space Podcast Recap. I am here with Crystal from Lyfe Aligned Podcast. We had such a good time, such a great conversation for her podcast, and then twice for this podcast. And oh my goodness, it's always a good time every time like we get together and talk. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. I had the privilege of being a part of a 28-day boot camp for Lyfe Crystallized. Yes. And it was akin to a meditation seminar. So I told Crystal that this year I wanted it to be different. And y'all know me, I am not a morning person whatsoever. Anything starts before 10, more than likely I'm not going to be there, or I'm going to be very late. But this year, in February, Crystal did a meditation seminar for 15 minutes at 7 a.m. Eastern time. Every morning, just get up, meditate. And it was such an eye-opening experience. And you have another camp coming up for 12 weeks, right?
So yes, so I sent, everyone who participated an email. And I do have that offering still. It's a 12-week offering. However, as I have been just kind of tapping in, connecting with my higher self, and just, following my signs, am actually, and I think I'm overthinking this. I really think, like, I've gotten to the point where, like, the last few days, I'm like, just set a date and stop trying to make it so, because, like, I have to do, like, all the things, right? So, like, for that one, like, I did the workbook, and I had, like, the daily emails, and it was, like, this whole big, and it was great. But I am going to do a 2-hour, course, seminar, whatever you want to call it, that really gets to, because the heart of everything, like, everything I do, at the heart of it is tapping into your inner voice, your intuition, connecting with your higher power to follow your path. Mm-hmm. Whether it's tarot or chakra balancing, like, everything I do, like my jewelry, my podcast, everything always comes back to, hey, this is what works for me. These are the tools I'm offering you, but use them to build your castle. Use them, I'm using a hammer to bang these nails in, and it works really great for that. But if you want to use a hammer to break some glass, and that's what, works for you, then do that. So at the heart of everything is, like I said, just tapping into that intuition, following your voice, and doing what feels right for you. So I'm like, I can teach all the things. Like, I can teach meditation, affirmations, health, wealth, like everything that we covered in the 28 days and then some.
Right.
But I could also just really make it really simple and really accessible, because then the price of the 12-week course, right, reflects 12 weeks of work. Right. So I'm going to do a 2-hour seminar that is really just going to get to the heart of it, and that is connecting with your intuition.
Wow.
And yeah, so look out for details on that within the next week. Like I said, I'm just going to go ahead. I'm really overcomplicating it. Like, it's going to be a 2-hour. I think the first hour, like, will be me kind of giving the tools, and then the second hour will be more interactive, me answering questions, kind of like that hands-on experience. Right. So yeah. And I'm excited about it.
I mean, that's good, because I did enjoy, and like my family knows, no, I don't like mornings. But I did enjoy, I was able to, it put me on a schedule to get up, to meditate, and to pray, and to really start. And then at the same time, my other sister, Janai, also got us in on doing a 21-day Bible reading of peace. And so I did the meditation, and then I would do the peace reading, and it was, and praying. And it just really got me into a different state of mind, to make me appreciate mornings more, to make me more productive. And I was just appreciative to be a part of it. It was a really great boot camp. But speaking of tools, we talked about tools on this episode. For those of you who haven't listened yet, it's available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. And we talked about how a lot of times people create this false sense of scarcity when it comes to resources. And instead of looking at the amount of resources that you have available, it's more important to see what skills you have to offer to your community. So the first question of the night is, what is a skill that you offer to your community? And it could be more than one. Some people have, jack of all trades.
So yes, I am. And it's funny because that you said that. One of my girlfriends sent me it was something on Instagram. So it was like a couple of slides, and that had like all these sayings that we usually associate them with in some kind of negative way, right? So for that quote, it's jack of all trades, master of none.
But better than the master of one.
I'm sorry?
The full one,
right,
is better than the master of one.
Right. So yeah. Like there's like a whole other piece to that really gets to. So yeah, definitely. I mean, I do everything. But and I try to do, like, in my work, in my business, I try to do everything in my little corner, because like I want to give you all the tools, because I want you to feel like you thriving is me thriving. It's us thriving together.
Right.
But as I said, I am really fine-tuning that. And really kind of narrowing down my zone of genius, which is teaching people how to follow that voice.
Okay.
Teaching people how to follow those divine signs that we all get. And that to me is where, the last year of my life has been all about that. Mm-hmm. And it's been scary as hell. It's been uncomfortable. Like the last couple of days for me this week has been like, oh my gosh, what did I do? It's all gonna fall apart. But I also realized, okay, I've spent so much time telling people talking about following the signs, following your intuitions, and it's going to be so great when you do, right? On the other side, I'm not quite on the other side. I'm still kind of on the path in the middle of it. Mm-hmm. So it still is uncomfortable. And I guess it always will be, right? Because it is a journey. It's not like I'm not going to get to this destination and all my work is done, I can rest. Like it's life. But just really doing that, like you said, it's opened up so many, like me leaving my job, me doing all of these things has opened up so many doors for me. And mm-hmm. every single time I'm like, oh my gosh, it's falling apart. Like, what did I do? Like, no, I need to go back to work. I need to do without fail. Something is like, you're good. And that, the freedom that I have now to live my life authentically, mm-hmm. Because when I was working, I hated my job. So I was a teacher, and
I did not know that you were a teacher.
I was. I was actually a special education teacher for almost 20 years. Yes. And when I got into teaching, I wanted a career. First of all, I've always loved kids. I always knew that I wanted to be a mom. And when I became a mom, because I wanted to be a lawyer, like when I was middle school, high school, because I'm like, yeah, I want to make money. But when I realized the time I would have to put in to become a lawyer, a good lawyer, and, you know, whether it was school and just the hours, I was like, but who's going to raise my kids? Like, because I wanted to be a mom. So it was like, you know, that's not going to work for me in my plan. So teaching, like, I love kids. I'll be on the same schedule as my kids. Like, it works. And I decided on special education because I love, like, the bad kids love me. The kids that nobody else want to deal with, like, those are my people. Those are my kids. And so I wanted to really teach. Again, I am all about meeting people where they are. And I guess I always have been, right? Because my whole philosophy was like, everyone can learn in their own way. And if we tap into a child's gifts and work with the tools that they have, like help them use the tools that they have, like, oh my gosh, they can all thrive. And that was my vision when I became a teacher. However, in this system that we have in the US, it doesn't work like that. Right? So I was never able to step into my gifts. I was never able to really, because I mean, I was like that teacher, like they would come to me with all kinds of, you know, craziness, and I wouldn't judge them. I would talk to them, but it's like dancing that line of the bureaucracy, the rules and regulations. And not only that, like the whole testing thing, it's like, so this is way off tangent, but I'm gonna come back. I'll bring it back. I promise. So the last job I was at, I had a series of meetings where, so these are like, again, I was a special education teacher. So we have meetings on these children every so often. And we would get in these meetings, we call them PPTs. We get into PPTs and my colleagues would be like, oh, Jenny's this and she's out of control and she's doing X, Y, Z. And I'm like, I don't, mind you, this was my first year at this job. So this is like, I started in like late August when the school year started. So like September. Right. And this is like from October to November. Every time we're in these meetings and they're like, such and such is cursing people out, walking out of class. I'm like, and they're like, Miss Holloway, what are they doing in your class? I'm like, I don't see any, like literally, like I don't see any of that. Like we talking about the same kid because like I've never. So after a while, after a series of these conversations, and in my head, they're like, oh, well, what are you doing? And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I treat them like people. Like I respect them, but so after a series of these conversations, they're like, okay, well, let's give them an extra period of resource, which was my class. I was like, hold up, pump your brakes. If you're going to put them in my class for an extra period because y'all can't handle the behavior, then that's what I'm focusing on. Don't walk by my room and expect me to be doing reading, writing, and math because it's not going to happen. You want to put them in here because they're behavior problems, then I'm addressing the behavior. You walk by my classroom, we're going to be meditating and doing yoga. They were like, oh my gosh, that's such a great idea. So long story short, this like me saying y'all not going to use me as a dumping ground and creating those boundaries and saying what you're not going to do is led to me working with a social worker in the district, and we created this whole program. It was, so the next year I had this program that I had designed that was really geared towards, and I mean, we got down to, so it was, again, based on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? So it's like, if these kids are not fed, if they don't feel safe, if they don't feel loved, they're not accessible for education. So until we address those needs, they're not learning their ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. So like the classroom was not a classroom. Like we had the like nice soft mats. We had stations, we had like LED lighting, so it was like dimmed. The kids would come in, put their shoes in a cubby, get a little snack. We had music therapy, art therapy, yoga, 2 therapy dogs. I mean, it was, if I do say so myself, it was fabulous. And by the end of that year, because our theory was, listen, if we can save one child from an outplacement, we're saving the district about $100,000 a year. So if you give me $10,000 to create this program, I'm saving you money.
Right.
The whole year was a fight to get kids into this program. So, because the bottom line was, I'm me, I'm Black, I know what the hell I'm talking about, and I was in a very racist building. Like I'd never, in all of my almost 40 years, I had never seen such blatant. I mean, yeah, we've all experienced it. Like, you know, those microaggressions. These were macro. Clearly, like, y'all are not even trying to hide racism. So they did not like me, and it was just like a series of just like. Long story short, by the next year, that program did not exist anymore. And that was very upsetting, because the only reason why I came back the next year was because of that program, because it was awful. But that is what I do. That is what I love doing. Like, I love catering or being different, being unique, meeting people's needs, like creating the programs that people need. Based on where they are, who they are, so that is what I'm getting back to, and following those signs. Again, it's like listening to your voice, following your path, whatever that is. And what works for Johnny is not going to work for you, and that's fine. It doesn't have to. It's not supposed to. But so yeah, I mean, like I said, I was at a job that I hated. And that I really, really hated that job. I hated the people, like it was. And when I started this business, so my first 2 years were hell. The first year, like, listen, that could be a whole other, like, we could do a podcast, like a whole podcast just on that experience. But we don't have that type of time, so I'll make it quick. But so my first 2 years were hell. My third year, I had started Lyfe Crystallized. And I went to work, like, I mean, when I say my first 2 years were hell, like my colleagues were mean and nasty. Like, it was like high school. I taught at middle school. So it was like middle school. Like, I was in middle school and they were nasty. But when I started my business, and I knew, like, I started to tap into what my purpose was, and I knew, I'm like, okay, I'm here, like, this is my job that pays the bills, but this is my passion. Everything changed. My colleagues who were like, damn, like, if we were in the 1800s, like, would have strung my ass up to a tree, were like, I mean, we weren't best friends, but they were cordial. Like, we were professional. Like, you know, like, it was a nice relationship.
Right.
They didn't change. The system didn't change. You know, everything that we had been dealing, like, none of that changed. But I changed. And I, like, it didn't, like, I was just there. And that was the energy I gave it. And that was the energy I got back. It was like, I'm here, you're here. That's it. We'll pass. And Corona hit. We were home. I was working on my business. This is perfect. I'm home working on my business, teaching on the side. Like, teaching was my side hustle at that point. And then when we went back in September, October, August or whatever, I couldn't do it. I could not do it anymore. I hated my job. I hated going in. I was like, it was awful. And so I left. And it was the best thing. I mean, I left. It's not like I had a nest egg saved up. I have a husband and 2 kids. We have a mortgage, car notes, like all of the typical American debt shit. Like it, you know, so it wasn't like I had like my plan. So my logical, my reason, like what my husband and I had talked about, my plan was to continue building up my business until it got to a point where it was equivalent to my day job or better.
Right.
We didn't wait for that. That's not how it worked out. So that, like I said, and I'm still in the middle of that. I mean, I just left in October. It's still pretty new. I'm still finding my footing, but this freedom. So like February, I was up at 6:45-ish every morning doing what we did, the meditation. The month of March, I think I've been getting up 10:30, maybe 11 o'clock on Sunday, because I'm not a morning person either, like at all. But I have the freedom to do that. And my business is still thriving. Like it's still growing. I'm still doing this at 9:30 on a weeknight. And I would not trade this for anything.
I mean, that's great because you want to have. Oh, there's an echo.
Is it me?
Yeah.
I didn't do anything different.
Your system always does this. I don't know why, but oh no, it's okay. Cool, it went away. So, but it's great, like being able to offer teaching where people are and being able to be successful in it. Like that means that your skill is definitely something that the community needs. Janae says Jesus loved kind words and singing is what she offers. I was like, yes. People absolutely need that. People absolutely need that.
A lot of that.
KK says she hates her job too. and so does Really TC. But eventually you all won't be in that position. Hey Jocelyn, welcome in.
Like that is my goal. Like I want everybody to leave the jobs that they hate. Like I really do. Like if I could like just go out and like hand out like, oh, for you get a car, like you get to quit. You like I want y'all to leave the jobs that you hate.
I'm like, wait, are you passing out lottery money or what is happening? Because the only reason why I work is so that I can pay bills. That's it. It's the only reason why I work. KK says I offer teamwork. That's my skill. Yeah, and she's really good at it. Really TC says I've offered research, but learned to scale back. Okay. Yes, because then you do too much for everybody else and not enough for yourself. So yes. I try to offer bridges to people so that people can talk to each other, because some conversations people wouldn't have with other people that I can have. Some things that other people in my community wouldn't necessarily be exposed to if I didn't bring it. So I try to use my skills as best I can. The next question that we have is, how do you identify what works for you? So in the episode, we talked about how we touched on this in a couple different spots in the episode. And those of you who are in the chat, feel free to answer as well. We talked about how other people will try to do either get on your train to do your thing, or they'll try to hoard all the resources, or they will attempt to make it seem like it's something that's impossible. But just like, meditation may not be the thing that works for you. Maybe you prefer to do dance. Maybe you prefer to do, I don't know, what's another alternative to meditation, because my brain just ran out of room. But there may be, there's so many other things that you're able to do. But how do you identify specifically what works for you? Not in the sense of, and this is kind of goes to another topic, not in a sense of trying to be a part of a certain market, but how do you know what is feeling most authentic to you?
For me, and I drive my husband with this a lot, but it's what feels good. Like It's what feels good. What do I love doing? What could I just do like for free? For me, that's it. Like meditate, whether it's meditation, and my meditation doesn't always look like that lotus pose, eyes closed. I try to start there every morning. I do.
Oh no, I was absolutely in the bed. I was absolutely in the bed 90% of the time.
But like that state of Zen, nirvana, like quiet, peaceful, tranquil mind. No. 90% of the time when I'm meditating, my mind is like all over, like but just taking that time to do it. And like I said, for me, in anything I do, like I'm still learning this, still stepping into it, still embracing it, is doing what feels good. And you and I actually had this conversation privately about a coach I was working with that was not working for me. And it's not that her system wouldn't work for lots of people. It just wasn't for me. It wasn't. And that was like this whole, like that was a big deal for me in the sense that I really had to do like a lot of questioning and answering with myself. Like, why doesn't it feel good? Why is it uncomfortable, right? Is it because it's different? Like, is it like that me walking up to the plate, like with my dad and like not wanting to have this conversation? Like, is it that type of discomfort? Because if it's that type of this discomfort, then I have to push through because that's the only way for me to grow. Right. But if this is just truly something that does not bring me joy, that maybe there's another way to do it that will feel good to me, that will bring me joy, that I'll feel great about doing, then I need to leave. And that's what it was for me. So I did have to end this relationship, and it felt great. It felt freeing. And now I'm like kind of free to.
Oh, you did? I thought you said that you were going to try it for a little bit longer.
So I did. And so I had a conversation, and this to me was kind of not the breaking point, but this like my Oprah aha moment. We had a conversation about how I was feeling about the program not necessarily being the right fit, but I was willing to, and I made it very clear that I'm willing to do the work. Like it's really, like I'm feeling like it's not work that I necessarily want to do. I'm feeling like it's not the way I want to do my business, but I don't want that to be the reason why I leave. So I'm willing to stick it out. And we're having a conversation, and she's like, well, you know, this is why I tell my clients not to leave their job, because then you're making decisions like, you know, from a lack mindset because you're like worried about how the bills will be paid and like that sort of thing. And I was like, ma'am, anyone who has listened to my podcast, anyone who knows me in real life, like that I've had conversation with, and she was one of those people that I've had this conversation, that I've shared this story with. Like, me leaving my job was probably one of the scariest things I've ever done. Because again, I have a whole family to help support. Right. So that wasn't a decision that I made lightly. But I also know that for a month leading up to me leaving, Spirit was like, leave. Like, I mean, it wasn't like this gentle fly away birdie. No, it was like that Sparta kick you in the hole moment, leave. Right. And like I said, like this is what I'm teaching people. Like this is what I'm working with my clients. I'm like, follow the signs, and you know, this is what the signs are saying. This is what God is saying. This is what Spirit is saying. Your ancestors are saying. So And I always say, I'm not telling you what to do, because don't come back and say, well, Crystal said, no, this is what I'm getting. You take this information and make the decision that's best for you.
Right.
But from how I'm looking at it, this is what it looks like it is. So how can I tell people this? How can I be this person that, like I said, like I want everybody to leave their soul-sucking jobs. I want everybody to follow their passions and live their best life. How can I sit here and tell people this in my podcast, in my sessions, and everything that I do, and I am terrified of leaving this job that I hate? Because I am terrified that I won't have money. Like, those two don't add up. It's either you're going to have faith or you're not. And for me, that's what leaving my job was. Like, it was this whole culmination of like, look, this is what you've been preaching. This is what we're saying. What you going to do? And for a coach, like if you're going to be my coach, I don't need you to agree with my decision. I don't need you to understand. I don't understand my decision. What the hell possessed me to walk away from this good government job with benefits that was giving me this bi-weekly pay? I don't know, but I know I had to. So I don't need you to understand it, but I need you to accept that. That's what I did. I need you to accept my choice. And I need you to say, as my coach, all right, this is what we're working with. Let's see how to work it.
Right.
But when you're coming at me talking about, well, this is why, I don't care what you told your other 1,000 clients. I'm me. Like, so yeah, so she had to go.
I'm glad you left. I was actually thinking about that. Oh, there's the echo again. Okay, cool. The echo's gone. All right, yeah. I don't know what's going on in between. But
I don't know. Maybe I talk too much.
I don't know. My dad says, to your guests, taking the time working with the children and others walk by that alone shows you're a major blessing to their young lives.
Thank you.
I'm glad. I am glad that you left that, because you were just your face in what you were saying. You did not want to be there. If I instantly have a or reaction, it ain't for me.
Yes.
And Kayla, I will say you are getting better at that. Janai says, I judge it based off of results and how it impacts my emotions. Yes, that's a good one. That's a good one. Talk about mindfulness. Are you asking us, or this is what you do? That's Lynetta. Are you asking us to talk about mindfulness and meditation, or are you saying that this is how you come to that decision? And it is. Oh, I think you're responding to something in the chat. Are you responding to something in the chat? I don't know really, TT, what you're responding to at this point.
Okay. Well, I will say, if we're talking about, while we're waiting on the response to come through, because I know it's internet something, but for me, any mindfulness meditation, again, it has to feel good. It has to be something you want to do, right? Because if sitting still for 5, 10, 15, however long you decide to meditate, doesn't feel good to you, if it's not what, like, if you're not relaxing when you're doing it, or you're feeling it, then it's not for you. It may be at some point, but right now in this moment in time, it's not. So don't do that. When you're in the shower and like a lot of people are like this, like their best thoughts come to them in their shower. Like, that's meditation. Walking outside, being in nature, and just like your mind drifts, that's meditation. Driving, like when you're driving that same route to and from work, and sometimes you're like, how the hell did I get here? Because like I don't remember the last 10 minutes. That's meditation. So take those moments, enjoy those moments, and find what works for you.
Yeah. It started off with me growing up in the church, praise and worship. Now I do a combination of things between music, between writing, and actual meditation of sitting still, or as still as possible, and focusing on a thought or affirmation for visualizing success. And so that's kind of that's my combination of what I do now. The way I identify what works for me is by getting to know myself. I think you talked about a lot about knowing if it feels good. And I think for myself, it is important to know who I am, what I want, what my end goal is, because when I know what I want and when I know what my end goal is, I can see things that come into and out of my life to see, is this something I want? Is this going to get me to that next level? Even if I may not understand it, if there's an intrigue, then I'll follow that. But if there's not an intrigue where I'm like, then I'm pretty much, I'm moving on. I don't really want to play around with something that's not going to allow me to be successful in life. And I'm not saying success comes like immediately like lightning, but I will say that it is more important for me to be at peace with whatever I'm doing. And whether it's something hard or something easy, I just want to be at peace when I'm doing it, so that I know, even though this part is hard, I know that it's getting me to the next thing. Or this part, it's easy sailing or whatever. I know it's getting me to the next thing. And so, hey, boss lady Denise, I think I spoke to you. I'm sure I did. So I think that it's important that when you identify what works for you, it's good to know who you are and listen to that inner spirit, your inner voice, so that you're not just doing something and then wake up 15 years later and you wonder why things suck. Like, I don't want to be in that situation. I don't want to be in that situation. I really want to be excited or happy about life. Like, I get so excited when I talk about debate. I get so excited when I get to teach. I get excited when I get to record or meet new people. And I know those are the things that I need to work toward. And so when I'm working toward those things, I know there's other things around it that I have to achieve in order for me to do those things. So I try to make sure that I get there. So by doing all the outside things first, you got to make sure that you take care of yourself, you take care of your home, you take care of your bills, and then you're able to have fun and do what you really want to do. Debate is a lot of work, but I enjoy it so much. I don't mind having the headache of competing for 5 hours. Like, I don't mind being able to talk to different people about different things and how they see things differently, even though sometimes I may think they're wrong. It's fun still to understand other perspectives.
Yeah. And that really is key to, like you said, like doing what you love doing and honing in on that. And that's a huge lesson, like I've been learning in the past couple days, like in my business, because again, I was like so focused on doing business the way I was told I should. And not only like just with this coach and just like in general, like all the tips and all one of the key phrases right now is like not trading your time for dollars, right? And having everything on autopilot, making money while you sleep. And I have been so focused on doing that I was beginning to miss out on, again, like what it is I'm good at. And what I'm good at is working with people and creating this video. Hi guys, like, rinse, wash, rinse, repeat, where you can just purchase this and get this pre-recorded material and, like you can buy it while I'm sleeping. That would never work for me.
Right, exactly.
Because of the way just because of me, the way I do what I do. Mm-hmm. And I just came to that realization, and it was like, well, like, am I limiting myself by not doing that? And no, like right now in this moment, I mean, maybe somewhere along the line, something like that will come together for me. But right now, that's not for me. It's not, and that's okay.
Yeah, and I don't think that it's necessary to try to use every tool, right? Like you gave the example of the hammer previously, right? I may not need a hammer. I may need a Phillips, you know?
Exactly.
I may need liquid nails. I may need
Gorilla Glue.
Right. I may need Gorilla Glue. You never know. Like, I don't think that we have to use every single thing that comes in our path, especially being on social media all the time. We're told that we need to do this, and this, and like there's so many scams out there that look like I became a millionaire. Buy my book and I'll tell you how to be a millionaire.
Oh my God.
And in the book, it tells you to write a book to become a millionaire. So I mean, there's so many different people who tell you what your vision should look like, and you're like, okay, I should listen to these people. But then you have to think they didn't have the vision, you did. And since you had the vision, you have to write out what it's going to look like. Now you're going to have people, and this is one thing that I got from growing up in church and having my own relationship with God, is that as I start, walking in my faith on my own, as I started to be obedient, more people will align with me as I start walking in the path that I'm supposed to be going. And so whenever I think, before I could even think, I'm going to need somebody that does X. Well, hey, how you doing? My name is Leah. What? Yep. I need somebody. I'm working on this. I need somebody that, oh, hey, how you doing? I was, whoa. Okay. All right. So as I started just walking toward what I was supposed to be doing, what the vision that I've been given, more and more people start aligning themselves. And in turn, I'm able to assist more and more people, and not just the tit for tat help.
Yes.
But in actual relationship building. Antoinette did respond. She said, yes, talk about the benefits of mindfulness. Okay. Yeah, I think that mindfulness, and I don't know how many years it's been. I want to say 6. I'm not sure. I don't know how many years exactly, but every day for about 6 years, my Auntie Lynetta, my mom, and a few other ladies, 5 o'clock in the morning, get up and pray every morning.
That's dedication.
I tried it for a week. I tried it. I tried it, and it was and thank God, my Auntie Lynetta is a breast cancer survivor, and that's where it started from. And these ladies have been coming together, and doing that. And it wasn't until I started doing meditation with you that I realized how I knew theoretically, in theory, how it worked. But I didn't know in practicality how it would change my perspective. Because when I am aware of, okay, I'm meditating in the mornings to set the focus for the day, to set the focus for what my actions are, what I'm going to do. But then it also makes me, okay, when I'm on the phone and having conversations, are these conversations productive? Are these conversations going to help me move forward in whatever it is? Are these conversations making me agitated, or is it bringing me peace? Am I eating just to eat, or am I eating for nourishment? Am I watching TV because I'm procrastinating? And if I'm procrastinating, and it made me have all these internal monologues about why it is what I do, instead of just accepting the fact, I may not want to do it right now, or I may be lazy, or I may have missed this deadline or this deadline or this deadline. And it really helped me to understand a lot of where my anxieties stem from, so that even before my triggers start happening, I'd be like, whoop, not crossing that threshold. I know where that's going to lead. I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to bring it back here to a place of peace.
Yeah, that is, and I mean, for me, taking that time is just, and it doesn't, well, that's the other thing, like a routine doesn't have to look the same every day.
True.
That act is a routine. Like taking that time to, so yes, to your aunt and your mother and that crew, like that's commitment, that is dedication, like, but it works for them. And that time for them, I'm sure, like they look forward to it, like they feel off when they don't do that. That works for them. Awesome. But if you are not part of that 5 a.m. crew, again, like find a time that works for you. Find a, an activity that works for you. And it might be something different every day. Like some days it may be yoga. Some days it may be a meditation. Some days it may be painting or singing. But just making sure, like maybe just the time is the same, but your activities are different. Or maybe it's the same activity at different times, if that works for you. But it's just finding what works for you, something you'll stick to, something that you'll look forward to and that you'll enjoy. And it's not going to be the same for all of us.
Right. And that's important. Just knowing what's going to work for you and using those tools to benefit you, so that you're not trying to use someone else's tools to build your vision, because then you're going to have a quasi mess of a thing trying to figure out, well, why doesn't it look the same? Why isn't it what I thought it would be? Because you're not using your own skills. You're trying to force someone else's.
And even with like spirituality, like you could be in the same church, in the same pew, and receiving two completely different messages. And Absolutely. That's fine. Absolutely. As long as, you're not hurting anybody and your message isn't telling you to go out and kill people. But, and that is for me, like another big thing, like even like, again, like under this spiritual umbrella, like the way I use my spiritual tools. And I tell people it's all like, don't come for me. Don't tell me I'm doing it wrong. This is how I do it.
Yeah.
Because this is what works for me. This is what feels good to me. If you have a problem with it, if it doesn't resonate, then don't do it. Like it's really that simple. Don't do it.
Absolutely, just keep
or do it in a way that works for you. But like there, you can put so many rules and regulations and must-haves to all these different things. And actually, this is actually a book that I am working on. So my working title is Guilt-Free Spirituality. Where again, giving people all the tools, like whether it's tarot, Lenormand, smudging, like all the tools, all the things, and explaining, what they are. But at the end of the day, if you want to read tarot, you need a deck of cards. Like you need a deck of tarot cards, period.
Yeah.
You can, sleep with them under your pillow, put them in a cloth, have it, like you can have all of those things. And if those things feel good to you, great. Do them. Use them. But if not, like the only thing you need, like communing with God. If you want to go to church, if that feels good to you, sit in the front pew, Bible study every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, like great. If that's what resonates with you. But the only thing you need is you. So yeah, find what works for you. Do what works for you. As long as you're not hurting anybody, as long as it's bringing you joy, love you. Do it.
Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree. Hey, Awfully Irish. I don't know if this is Tom or Jer, but hey guys.
Really, they're Tom and Jerry, Awfully Irish?
So they're Thomas and Jared. And so one of them
Jared. I thought you said.
Well, he goes by Jer. And so it's like Jer and Tom. And so it's just like, the cat and mouse. And it's like, no,
yes. I'm sure they get that all the time. Like
well, thank you so much for this conversation. As always, it's always a good time. Can you tell people where to find you?
Absolutely. So you can listen to the Lyfe Aligned podcast wherever podcasts are found. Or you can visit, and I make it really simple. Like,
I am up here just looking at you talking. I know I have like, okay. All right.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So if you go to that link tree, like you'll find all my links. But if you find me like social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, if you find me in one place, you have found me every place. So I'm just going to keep it simple and just say lifealignedpodcast.com. That's Life with a Y. And you can find links to my main business, which is Life Crystallized, through there as well. But yes, those are my handles, my websites, lifecrystallized.com and lifealignedpodcast.com. But yes, if you find me in one place, there's links back to the other. There's podcast link on my business site and vice versa. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you to everyone in the chat. I'm going to do my best to go through everyone. So from the top, we have thank you, Dad. Thank you, Kayla. Thank you, Really TT. Thank you, Janai. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Jocelyn. Thank you, Antoinetta. Thank you, Awfully Irish. Thank you, Jocelyn. Thank you, Antoinetta. I think I said Antoinetta already. Thank you, Boss Lady Denise. And thank you, Awfully Irish. I appreciate everyone for tuning in to another recap of Take a Space Pod. If you haven't listened to the episode already, you get some really, really good tools that we talk about. It's some really good things to think about as you start building toward your future. It may not be a business. It may not be an empire. It may not be a house. You may be just looking for the strength to go on another interview. You may be looking for another way to get out some creativity or whatever it is. Just make sure that the tool that you use is the tool that's going to be most significant to you and most authentic to you. We'll be back on next Thursday at 8 p.m. Central. Please make sure you follow us on all social media at Take a Space Pod. That's Take a Space POD on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And we will see you next time. Bye.